If you don't have any lead magnets in your podcast, you're really missing out on growth for not only your show and your audience, but also your email list and your social media. So in this episode, we're talking all about lead magnets, what they are, and the ones that you need in your podcast. Welcome to the Podcast Cafe, where we're serving up everything you need to know about podcasting, from tips, stories, and strategies for podcasters from podcasters. I'm your host, Hayleigh Hayhurst, the founder of Espresso Podcast Production, a full-service podcast agency helping business owners, creatives, and thought leaders launch and grow their shows. Whether you're just starting out or want to take your podcast to the next level, this is the place for you. Each week, we'll dive into practical tips, actionable strategies, and of course, stories from other podcasters so that you can build up a podcast that you love and that works for your business. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's get started. Welcome to the Podcast Cafe. Welcome back to another Espresso Shot episode. These are your quick 10-minute strategy hits all about podcasting, and today it's all about lead magnets. What they are, why they matter, and how to make them irresistible so your podcast listeners actually download them. So your podcast is amazing, but here's the truth. Most people who listen will not go over to your Instagram, join your email list, or buy from you unless you give them a reason. And that reason is a lead magnet. So what is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is a free, high-value resource that you give in exchange for someone giving you their email address. So these can be things like a checklist, a guide, a template, a quiz, a mini training, downloads. All these different things can be lead magnets. But the key thing is that it solves one specific problem for your ideal listener. And that should connect directly to what you sell. If you've ever listened to a podcast and they say something like, click the link in the bio for my free 5-minute meditation. Okay, you go over to that, you put in your email address, and then you get that free 5-minute meditation. And that is the lead magnet. Now let's give another example. Something like, click the link in my bio if you want my free 7-day meal plan. That's what one of my clients does. And they put in their email, download it, and get the 7-day meal plan. So in both these instances, the first one about the meditation, that podcast would be definitely something about mindset, meditation, wellness, something in that world. Whereas the protein one would definitely be more of like a nutrition, wellness podcast, dietitian, something like that connects to their business. So it works great for podcasts because podcasts are great for building trust, right? People are coming to you, listening to you, but you don't own the podcast platform or your audience listening on it, but an email list you do own. So it's a lot easier to sell, get someone into your program or a one-on-one client or mastermind over email or another way that you can connect with them than a podcast. Of course, there's times where someone will listen to your podcast, message you, and want to work with you, but just this lead magnet is a great place to get them into your world even deeper. So a lead magnet helps you move listeners from your show over to your email list, keep nurturing them between episodes. This is a huge one. And then sets up offers and promotions without relying on algorithms. So truly, your email funnels are what's selling. I'm going to get into how to do this. I'm going to give you the 4 steps overview, and then we'll dive into it a little bit deeper. So number 1, you want to pick your offer. Number 2, you want to create a simple landing page. Number 3 is mention it naturally or create commercials in the podcast. And then number 4 is follow up with them. Okay, so those are the 4 steps. Super simple, right? Let's dive into this a little bit deeper. Step number 1 is pick your offer. So just like that example I gave you with the protein or the meditation, what is something that your listeners care about? So for me in this podcast, my lead magnet that I mentioned is my free podcast launch checklist. So this is for any podcaster or aspiring podcaster who wants to launch a show and wants to see exactly what it takes. So I put this on my website, espressopodcastproduction.com/checklist, and that redirects you to my page on ConvertKit. This is a landing page. ConvertKit just switched to kit.com, so gets you over to kit.com. It's a really simple page that shows you, what it is, a little blurb about it, and then you put in your email, and then immediately, once you give me your email, this free podcast launch checklist is sent to you. So think about something that connects to your business and then stick with that. These lead magnets, they should be valuable because this is really people's first view of you past the podcast. So for audiences that want to trust you even more, this is a big place for you. Now, next is mention it naturally or film a commercial for it. I can get into this in another episode, but really, we are so quick to take on commercials for other people's businesses, but less often are we selling our own products or services on our podcast, and that should be first and foremost of what we're doing. So 2 ways to mention the lead magnet in your podcast would be just to talk about it and bring it up as you seem fit. So let's just say I have an episode about, how to create your logo. And I could be like, this is just one step to the mini that you need to actually start a podcast. And if you want to see the details of how you need to actually start a podcast, like the steps to take, download my free podcast launch checklist. Literally, it's free. It has all the details you need in there. You'll just go to espressopodcastproduction.com/checklist and it'll be sent right to your email. Okay, so that is me naturally just putting it in there. Then I would go to the next topic. Now, the second way would be to do a commercial break. So I do this more in my guest episodes where I do this with a couple different things, either my masterclass about podcast analytics or my podcast launch checklist. So this would be where I'm talking with the guest. There'd be a break in the episode. I'd play a little bit of music. I'd put this in, basically the same thing, but a little more scripted, and then put the music back out and then go right back into the episode. You'll also put this in your show notes to make it super easy. So just put free podcast launch checklist, download it here. I have it in all of my show notes if you want to go and listen or check out what it looks like. And then next is follow up. So once someone downloads it, send them a welcome sequence or something that connects back to your podcast. So again, if you download my checklist, you'll see the welcome sequence that I take people through. It's about 7 emails about my client stories, my own story, why I do what I do, just building that trust a little bit more. There's an audience that learns from audio, which is what you're tapping into, and video. And then to get them deeper into your world, you're going to want to get them into that text format. You can also send them over to social media through this email sequence. But I feel like every time something happens to social media, everyone's like, oh, you need an email list. And while that is true, it's hard to build one. And the podcast can be the answer to how you build your email list. And just a tip here, your lead magnet doesn't have to be something brand new. You can repurpose your podcast episodes into a PDF guide or an audio training. Something like the Espresso series is an incredible way to have a lead magnet within the podcast, but there's a lot of options here. So if you want to really turn your listeners into loyal fans and paying clients, a lead magnet is your way to get there. It really builds the bridge between the podcast and your business. And if you're curious on how you can make this work for you, send me a message on Instagram or email, or you can book a call with me in the link in my show notes. And I offer free 30-minute calls to really tailor this to you. So either book that call in the link in my show notes, or just send me, let's just say lead magnet. You can message me that on Instagram or LinkedIn, and I will set that up with you. Okay, that is all for today's Espresso Shot episode. Go make that freebie, go make that lead magnet, and then watch your email list grow. Thank you so much for joining me in the Podcast Cafe. I hope you're leaving with fresh ideas and inspiration to take your podcast to the next level. Remember, podcasting is a journey and you don't have to do it alone. I'm here to help you every step of the way. Let's connect. Be sure you follow me on Instagram at Espresso Podcast Production or visit espressopodcastproduction.com for more tips, resources, and behind the scenes insights. I'd love to hear about your podcasting journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling extra generous, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps more podcasters just like you find the show. Until next time, grab your coffee, keep creating, and I'll see you back here in the Podcast Cafe.